Welcome back to the Photos by Mikey podcast. My name is Mikey, your host for today's episode. Today we have my good friends Sam and George, the owner and founder of Auburn Blue Photography. Welcome, guys.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you
for having us here.
Awesome. For those that don't know you guys, could you guys give a little backstory about how you guys got started in the photography industry?
Yeah, so I don't know who I am. My name is George. I got started in this industry when my wife bought a camera and stopped using it.
Basically.
So what I ended up doing was, it was more or less like taking pictures of like flowers and whatever out there. But it was, what really kind of got me into shooting was our wedding. We had a photographer, but she wasn't necessarily a professional photographer like that. She was kind of learning as well. And she was also pregnant. So our daughter was born like 7 days after. I didn't have a photographer for that either. So for me, it was like, I didn't have professional photography for those key moments in my life that I could kind of like go back and look at the prints, look at the album, all of that stuff. And it was just like, all right, I'm going to take this on myself because I don't want anybody else to feel the way I felt. So that's kind of what got me going into it.
Yeah, I think, that's how it started. I bought the camera initially for myself. I don't know what happened, but I think I just was never able to get out of shooting JPEG. And I didn't know the route to learning. And one day I just passed it on to my husband and he just went crazy with it.
One day I was like, "Nah, look, give me that." Because you're wasting a beautiful piece of art. And I didn't know what I was doing either. I was just trying to make it work. Still don't know what I'm doing. So,
but look at us now.
Yeah.
Still not knowing what we're doing. Go ahead.
So, because I know you guys told me the story about your wedding, right? Was that part of that too, that you guys got interested in doing wedding photography?
Yeah. So I think the first love for me was portraiture, but there was that kind of void with our wedding not having it the way we wanted it, or at least not having it presented the way we wanted it. Because like my photos are on like a email somewhere that I rarely go to look at. I don't have them printed up on my wall. I don't have a print out, anything like that. I just didn't have the full value of what wedding photography could be back then because of the lack of education.
Yeah, I think it was also, for me, when I look back at the photos, mind you, I love the photos at the end of the day because it was moments that I didn't think to capture. I was running around all day, pregnant, didn't even eat. But
why is she waddling?
Right? But I think, like, for example, the unexpected moments when I got walked down the aisle. I was supposed to be walked by my dad, who didn't show up. But my brothers, like last minute, they decided to kind of each walk me a certain way. Yeah. And then my mom gave me away. And so those were moments that were like, I didn't know this was going to happen, but where are the photos? So to me, like when we think about weddings, you always, see unexpected things happen. And then our clients are kind of like, I didn't even know you captured that. So I think that's kind of like what shifted my mindset to be like, weddings are more than just the money making. It's the memories that we capture that they don't even realize.
They're those, like I said, they're a key moment type of thing. One of the biggest moments in people's lives. Yeah. Along with, like I said, with our daughter being born, like that's our one and only kid we want. Yeah. We don't know if the next one would bring on complications because it was a high risk pregnancy. Right. And your kid, it's your one kid, you have one life, you don't know what could happen in the future, but I would love to have all those moments that from the day she was born type of thing. Yeah. I cried so much when she was, I ain't never cried like that in my life. And doing like, when I did birthing photography for the first time, it's just like, it brought all that back. Like, I'm just like, dude, like, this is exactly what it was like when Delilah was born. Like, I remember all of this.
This is why we do it, basically.
Yeah. I really want to get into that too, because I don't know too many people that have photographed like a birth. Yeah. But yeah, we'll touch base on that in a little bit. But I really want to kind of understand you guys' story and how you guys really got started in the business. So you guys first started doing like portrait sessions, right? Like when was the moment when you guys realized like you can actually make some money off of doing photos?
I think it was when people came to us for it. So, prior to actually being, like a legal business, everybody starts that way. You practice and then, a lot of people would tell us, hey, you should charge for this. At the time, they were like, this is really good. You should charge for this. This is worth something. And we were just kind of like, no, it's just a hobby. But I think when people started finding us and saying like, hey, I really want you to shoot my wedding or to shoot my portraits. How much do you charge? We were just kind of like, this really could be a business. It's like the first time that we feel a hobby of ours is going to generate income. So I think it was probably, we got reached out for an elopement, and they were just
that we took you
at
to.
Yeah. So we got reached out to shoot an elopement, and it was like $100 at the time. But for us, $100 was like, oh my God, it's $100 on top of
hell yeah.
Yeah, we're balling.
Blew it in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think that's when we kind of realized like this could really become like a side hustle on top of whatever else we're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because at the time, you guys were still working full-time job.
We're
right?
still working.
Yeah,
we are part-time photographers. So the goal is to definitely go full-time.
Right.
But yeah, that initial beginning was like, okay, you know, and then from there just kind of got better and better and better as the years went by.
Because I think you guys have amazing like work, and it's very unique compared to everybody else. And so, like, when did you guys realize, like, you know, okay, we're gonna stick with this type of style? I don't want to put you guys in a bucket, but when did you guys realize we kind of like this kind of style of editing and style of posing? Like, where did you guys get that inspiration from?
So I do have a few people that have inspired me, like, as far as the style is concerned.
Yeah.
There have been cinematographers, there have been movies, there have been photographers. I think, like, if I can think off the top of my head, the top 3 photographers are, like, the Pharaohs are one of the top for me. A videographer by the name of Gavin Sutton, he used to be with Fire and Ice. Like, his cinematography is just A1, like, never fails. And, you know, as far as, like, portraiture, there's Terrence Drysdale, or TJ Drysdale. He has these immaculate shots with these beautiful views.
Right.
And for me, it was just wanting to create something that kind of told a story that was kind of, when you look at the picture, you can tell, you can take the time to look at it. Like, you can feel what's going on. And that's why it ended up becoming our tagline, photos you can feel.
Yeah.
And it just, you could just, like, when you look at it, it's just like, oh, I'm in this environment. Or you could just feel the passion in it. So it just became one of those types of things for me. As far as the stylization, the mood, the tones, trying to do double exposure, triple exposure. It's just trying to create something that makes you stop and kind of analyze it for a little bit versus just, oh, that's a nice picture type of thing.
Right. Because I know another part of photography too is like when they hire a photographer, it's just they're not hiring you because, of course, your work is important, but they're also hiring you as a person, right? Wouldn't you agree that?
Yeah,
that's a big part.
Yeah, I think so. I think one of the things that I feel has made it to where when you get a review like, oh, he made us feel comfortable, they made us yada yada. It's just, it's kind of like I can't help but to crack jokes. I can't help but to make the environment like what it is. And a lot of it is either my anxiety that makes me just like try to throw like a one-liner out there. But a lot of it is just like, I mean, we grew up clowning, we grew up roasting, we grew up just, everything was fun. We make the best out of bad situations. So, you know, when you get into an environment where it's just like, oh, the bride looks like she's stressing out, or the groom looks like he's stressing out, you know, you find a way to, first of all, serve them and help them, but then to make the situation uplifted for them. And they're either laughing, they're smiling about it, and you're getting those kind of shots. They're feeling the vibe with you. And so they're just like, dude, like, you made this so much easier on us than we thought it was going to be. We were stressed out about it. So,
yeah. And then it helps because it helps us also kind of know their vibe the day of the wedding. Like, we kind of already know based on the engagement session or our initial consultation that, you know, this bugs you or this doesn't bug you or you're stressing out about this or A, B, and C. It seems like this kind of gives you anxiety. So it kind of helps us kind of know, hey, this is like overstimulating for our bride and groom. Let's go, whatever, you know, let's go help them, or it's kind of like we already know what to do before they even ask us what to do. So,
I think just being very prepared and, you know, because, you know, I really believe that our like a vibe during the wedding day or any photo session, right, can be infectious. So if we're negative on the day, it's like, okay, why is my photographer negative? Now I'm feeling negative, right?
Right.
The vibe.
That's with everything, because you already know, like, if I'm coming to your wedding, like, you've already seen it either in my posts or you've seen it when I'm talking about it. I'm here to turn up with you. So, like, we're gonna be on that dance floor twerking or something. I'm not trying to bring a vibe because of business. I'm just gonna be bringing the opposite of boring. I'm gonna be just personality, because it's just like, bro, who I'm bringing to you is just kind of like how I grew up. It's just how we are as people. Sometimes we're loud, sometimes we're making jokes, you know, and if like our ideal client is with that, it's like, you work great with me. Like you have ideal clients that are like sending you texts with memes and gifs and stuff. And you're just like, yo, this is my kind of person.
Yeah, we bring that professionalism, but also like that fun. It's like, you can joke around, you can say whatever you want, but just know we're going to get our work done. If you want us to take a shot with you, we're going to take a shot with you. But don't forget, we're still going to deliver amazing photos at the end of the day.
I always make a joke about that. Like, they'd be like, come on, man, just take a shot. I'm like, okay, but your photos are going to be blurry at the end of the night. Just know.
It's called art.
So Auburn Blue, I wanted to ask you guys about that. Where did that name come from? Like, where did that inspiration come from?
You want me to take this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so so it started off, like we started off with a little business name called Line of Sight. We didn't like it. It was like LOS Photos or something like that. We didn't like it. We were just like, we want something that kind of really talks about like what our style looks like. Yeah. Excuse me. And if you look at like our photos, we have like a lot of warm tones, a lot of mood, a lot of dark and moody. And I was just like, I want something like this. I want like a name that fits like what works with this. We ended up doing a wedding right here in Redlands for a friend who she has her username is like Moody something.
Moody Blues.
Moody Blues. And I was just like, oh, I like this. I like the concept of Moody anyways, as it is. And I was like, I want something like that that's like a name plus a name. But I don't want like the typical ones we've always seen, where it's kind of like so-and-so and
like
so-and-so.
Mike Federer's photography.
No, not like that, because that's like using your name. I don't want like the like I said, with Gavin Sutton, he was with Fire and Ice. I was like, I don't want an and in the middle of a name. I just want a name that works.
Just like something that it's easier to say.
Yeah,
and
I don't need an Auburn and Blue, because then it's like, well, who's Auburn and who's Blue? And it's like, no, it's just like it's the idea behind it. It's the spirit behind Christmas. No, it's the idea behind what we're doing. Yeah. And I think that at some point, it's kind of like, I like the reds and I like the blues. I like them when they're together. I like sunsets. I like that warm tone. And I think that's what kind of ended up bringing it out for us.
The mountains. We're very much so lover of like nature. Yeah. So like you see a lot of browns, you see a lot of blues, you see, a lot of those nature. Yeah, earth tone colors.
That's awesome. So let's talk about like clientele, or like your ideal client. And I've had some different answers when I ask people about this. Actually, one interesting answer I had from yesterday from Michelle's podcast was, I could ask her the same question. I was like, who's your ideal client? And she said, well, my ideal client is whoever likes me. So I was like, that's a good answer, actually. So let me ask you guys the same question. So when you guys, are like promoting or marketing your business, like what is like your, type of ideal client that you're trying to capture or engage in?
I mean, I think ultimately, somebody who's just adventurous, fun, who is, who trusts our work. Because at the end of the day, although we love doing weddings and we do it for the client, we too want to be able to feel comfortable in that space. So somebody who trusts us, trusts our work, believes that we will deliver what we do. I don't know. We just like fun vibes, fun personalities. Even if they're kind of a little introverted, because we're introverted in a sense. But once we get together in that space, just somebody who we can be free with. Yeah.
I think that when I look at just who we are as people, like Michelle said, like someone who wants to work with me, someone who likes me. I think for me it's that, and it's a little bit even beyond that, because it's not just someone who wants to work with me, but it's also someone who has their own thing that I want to work with as well. Because I feel like that's how relationships are. Like you're taking who you are and the things about you, and you want to share that with someone else. Yeah. So when it comes to, damn, that was loud.
Yeah, you're good, man. This is a unfiltered podcast.
Is that hair on the microphone now? No,
we're starting a fire.
Yeah. Kindle a fire over here. I think that like there's obviously like the my ideal client likes Louis Vuitton, likes nature, likes trees. I feel like some of that, like, it doesn't feel authentic. I mean, don't get me wrong, like my ideal client got money, right? Because like you can't come to me saying, hey, I want to book you, and it's just like, but here's $100. Like, sir, there's gotta be some quid pro quo here.
But we have had clients, sorry to cut you off, but we have had clients who weren't able to kind of like pay us our full price, and they were probably one of our most genuine favorite clients, because even though they didn't have it, they went out of their way to say, hey, this is all I have, but I really want you. I really like you, and I really like your work. And they have become like friends of ours. I think we just went to Disneyland with them when you got diagnosed. They came, they brought us Starbucks, they brought us fruit. Shout out to,
Cindy
and David.
Tell people.
And they came and they went out of their way to just kind of make sure we were good. And it was like a one last minute Disneyland trip. And mind you, this was like almost 2 years after their wedding. Right. So these clients,
they're still in our lives to this day.
Yeah. They become our friends at the end of the day. Yeah. And that's kind of like what we like to see, that it's like, hey, we built a bond because we got to know each other.
There was foundation for them too. If you think about back to like our consultation with them, they were more along the lines of the kind of people who were just like, not art connoisseurs, because it's like you gotta have a little money. They were kind of, but that was like their main thing, was like, we like what you do because of the artwork. We like how your artwork looks. Right. We love, like they were telling me about my art and admiration in a way where it's kind of like, dang, you guys really did pay attention to the things that I put a lot of work into as far as my passion. And they're just like, we really want you. We have people in our family that we can try to, do this. For their family, they couldn't see the value. That was the thing. Yeah. They had the value. They had like, no, I got people that'll pay for this. Like, let me hit them up right now. Yeah. But when they tell them, they're like, you're going to pay that for photos. And they're just like, it's not just photos. Like, this is some artwork that we're trying to pay for. And they, they came back to us. They were like, we're so sorry. Like, the people that were supposed to, help us co-sign for this car that you're trying to, they kind of fell out, yada, yada, yada. And it was one of those things where it's like, you kind of get the gist of the people who value what you do versus people who don't. And that, like, I know at some point we're going to talk about, different myths in the industry and stuff that I want to debunk. This one isn't mine, but when you asked that question, it really made me think about the fact that I really want to get rid of the concept, if it's not a myth or if it is, that people who don't have the money to afford what you do are inherently like bad people. Like they give a lot of, well, they're the people who are going to nitpick. They're the people that are going to be late. They're the people that are going to do this, they're going to do that. And I'm just like, I know people with money that'll do that.
Exactly.
I know people that have money that will book you and pay your full price, still nitpick, still be late because they want things a certain way. For me, I'm half Mexican and black, and I can tell you definitely one of the things that Latinos do is that we will make sure, even if we got money, we need to make sure that money is being properly utilized. And if you're not giving us everything, we're going to nitpick it through all the way through. It don't matter how much money we have,
you
because
need the
we
whole
work hard
family
for
approval.
it. We worked hard for it, so I'm gonna make sure this looks right. But if you have money or if you don't have money, it doesn't mean that you are less or more.
Right.
And so I feel like I want to kind of get that out of our language when we're talking about people who can't afford what we do.
Yeah, because I think that's pretty common in the industry, that a lot of photographers think that like, people that, when they inquire with us, right? I have a budget, but can you work with me? Can you give me a 50% discount? But everybody's not like that, right? Even people that I know that are super awesome. I mean, they may not have a lot of money, but they, like you said, they value the art. They value photography, and they became one of my, I treat my clients like family and friends too. So they've become really good friends now, and it's amazing, because a lot of our clients eventually, we start shooting their families, they have a baby, maternity photos, it's incredible what we shoot.
From their wedding to bump to baby to college, like you get to be a part of someone's whole life cycle type of thing. And it's more than just like, maybe that might be the thing you can shoot out to people when they're saying like, oh, like you can do the same thing on your phone. It's like, you can, but I promise you, like, to have somebody that is the camera being an extension of who they are as a person, and them being a part of your life, like you can't replicate that with just a smartphone. There's so much that goes behind all of what we do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you guys about your approach to client experience, right? Because everybody has a different approach. So how do you guys, communicate with the clients from the beginning when you get an inquiry?
So, it's pretty straightforward. When we get an inquiry, I get to see, where their venue is at, their budget and everything. I usually send out my brochure. It's kind of like a email that kind of has all my information. Thank you for reaching out. We'd love to shoot your wedding. Here is my packages. I kind of like to send that out straightforward because I'm just like, look, once you see this, you're going to know where I'm at. You're either going to say yay or nay.
Right.
When they respond, and they are interested, I set up a phone consultation, because that's when you kind of get to see the vibe. They ask all the questions that they need to ask. I give them all the answers. I give them extra, information. And I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like I can feel the vibe just by how they talk to me. When they're straightforward, it's kind of like, okay, so you are ready, but have you seen my work? Yeah. And a lot of times it's like, no, I'm just looking for a photographer. I saw you on Google.
Right.
And then to me, that sometimes kind of makes me feel a little like, ooh, I don't know where this is going to go. Yeah. But a lot of times I have this question on there where it says like, tell me a little bit about yourselves. When my ideal client reaches out to me, they answer that question. They'll tell me, we met this date, we dated this long, we have a baby, we have a dog, I love Disney. Like when they go that extra mile, already I'm just like, this is our client. And
they typically talk about how either who we are as people or how our photos kind of really resonated with them. And it's kind of like, okay, you get it. Like you're not just swiping through our gallery like, oh, this one works, I like this person, let me go to send them a message, oh, and they're affordable, like, or something like that, it's more like, dude, like I've been following you for like a year, like, oh damn, okay, great.
They get very personable. So that's how I kind of know, oh, this consultation is going to go great. So we get on the phone call, we answer questions, and then from there, if they move forward with us, we do the invoice, the contract. I send them a questionnaire for their engagement session right after. And then that's like our first meet.
Yeah, and not to confuse that, I don't want people to think like, oh, that sounds like there's like so much going on. It's like, it can literally be like a 3-step process for people.
Yeah, it is. I think I made it sound like it was not, but
like you don't really have to be friends with us. Just like we'll work for you. Like that's
it's pretty simple. It's an inquiry. Send you my brochure. We get on the phone, and then right when we have the phone call, it's kind of like really easy.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on? Because I know sometimes there's brides and grooms, and they just want the pricing. So how do you approach that when they just send inquiry and they're like, I just want pricing? I'm
going to be very, very honest. Yeah. Maybe some people won't agree with me. I just send them to them. I send them prices. Because to me, it's like, if you just want my pricing, here's my pricing.
Got it.
Because at the end of the day, like I said, I personally am the type of person who does not like to speak to people. If I'm inquiring, I would like to have all the information before I speak to you on the phone or in person. Why? Just because I'm an introvert. I get weirded out, So to me, it's like, give me all the information I need so that I know that I can afford you or anything like that.
It's a huge turnoff for me to want to go in and invest into something like that. And then you're trying to sell it to me. Like, just because all I asked was the price. And it's like, yes, but wait, and there's more. And it's like, I'm not going to buy it. I have the money to buy it, and I'm not going to buy it because you made it so uncomfortable for me. Like, one of the things, I made a joke about it recently. I was like, one thing that I hate is when whether it's a photographer, course, guru, or whatever it is, whatever they're trying to sell to me, and they say my name too much. They're like, well, George, let me and they're just like, all right, you lost me. You lost because you said my name, and now I feel like you're a car salesman. It got really uncomfortable. And I feel like there's people out there that are looking at our stuff and they're just like, I just really just want to get the numbers real quick, just so that I can, I've already looked at all your work. I've read your posts. I see who you are, but I don't, want to, I just need to hire a photographer to do A, B, and C. Those aren't necessarily not my ideal client, but I get where they're coming from.
I mean, some people are just straightforward. And I feel like we can't judge that. Just because you're asking me just for pricing, I'm not going to take that as rude.
Right.
So I just send it to them. I send them the brochure. If they don't respond, they don't respond. But I always like to add a little note, kind of like, hey, but if you have any questions or any questions about payment or whatever, reach out to me. Because it's at the end of the day, we won't really know how we can help you until we get on a phone call.
And I think that's the thing with introvert people anyways, because it's like, once you are in their space and you've connected with what you've served them and you've connected them to the things that they love, and you're able to really build a bond with them, then after that, those are the people that won't stop sending me TikTok videos and GIFs and memes, because now we're family. They won't go away. No, I love y'all.
But I just send it. Because it doesn't, I have like a small pre-written. I have like a couple pre-written stuff. I'm weird. But it's like, once I kind of see the question, I kind of know the vibe. So it's like, well, your vibe is you just want information. Here's my information template. If you're asking me a whole bunch of questions, then I'm going to get on the phone with you because I know that you're most likely going to want to talk. So I just send it.
That's awesome, because the way I think about it is, if they had the time to contact you, then they're already interested, right? And I know everyone's so different. You know, I've asked this question to a lot of my clients too. Like, well, the reason why I just ask for the prices is because I'm just so busy. Some people work at night, and then they're just trying to get things done, and they just didn't have time to really ask all those questions,
right?
You know, and you know, sometimes it's very common on Instagram, right? To just like, oh, can I just see where your starting price is at? Just because I want to see if I can even afford you, you know, that's totally fine.
It reminds me of like, good evening, is this available? Yes, it is. That was cracks me up.
But yeah, let's get into your business a little bit more, because I know you guys are primarily focused more on elopements than weddings, but I know you guys still do both, right?
We initially wanted to only focus on elopements until we kind of really learned that we can choose the type of weddings that we do. So mind you, we love weddings for like the love of it and the experience of it, not so much. I mean, the aesthetic is obviously something that's for us. Everything else is for the client. But part of our business and our brand is to give that creative portraits. So we are a little bit, I don't want to say picky, but we do look at where the wedding is located.
Right,
so, you know, we kind of learned that we don't necessarily like golf courses. Like we like,
I don't like big Disney princess dresses. Like just,
but it's not to say, you know, it's not to say that, you know, it's not nice. It's just not our aesthetic. So, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Well,
hey, just stop. Hit cut.
So the main reason I was asking that question, the question was elopements compared to weddings, right? Because I know weddings sometimes are very daunting. Like there's just so many things happening, and I know we'll work together on elopement before, and elopements are just super amazing. Like it's super easy. You get more time with the bride and groom. You get to vibe. You can do a little bit more stuff. There's more time. The other fluff stuff, right? And I'm not saying it's fluff, but in the wedding day, there's just more things involved. Like you have the DJ.
It's a production.
It's a production thing, right?
And elopements are more intimate.
Yeah,
I think that's what I like about it. Is that it's genuinely just the people that mean a lot to you. Because bigger weddings, although I do know that there's big families out there who are very united, a lot of the times, and nobody can tell me otherwise, when you're in there as a photographer coordinator, you get to see a lot and hear a lot. You know that there's people that are just kind of like, I mean, I invited you because you're an extended family. I had to, or because whatever. But in elopements, you literally have the people that are in your life 24/7, or that have experienced your heartbreaks, your losses, your happiness on a more intimate level. So that's why I like elopements, because it's like, you know, we get to really see that raw feeling of what's happening with the whole family, not just our couples.
I think there's this concept that, you know, well, I want to throw like the biggest party of my life with everybody that I've known ever. And it's like, you can have an elopement and then still have a reception party. You can still hire a DJ to go like just do a dance party with your friends and family, instead of just having like the 5 same drunk uncles for 3 hours that I'm photographing 1,000 photos of at the end of the night. And you like when it really all boils down to it, like you have like people that are like, I want my mom here, my dad here, whoever to walk me down the aisle, my kid, and that's it. And then tomorrow we're gonna, you know, we're gonna turn up. And I feel like you get to do a little bit of both of those things. And I think that's what I like about the flexibility, the stress freeness of an elopement.
Yeah.
But we also like the party. So, so I think we kind of backtracked a little and decided that we wanted to market both elopements and you know, traditional weddings, but we're just kind of molding the type of wedding that we want to shoot. So. I think it all just kind of comes down to the type of wedding or where it's located or what's involved in it, that we decided, okay, well, we're not letting go of weddings, but and we missed out on the bridal expo, man. I was just like, so many people
we really messed that up.
But you know what? It was a learning experience. It was a good learning experience.
So, because I want to ask this question about how you guys approach even like an elopement, right? Like it's more intimate. So how do you guys approach like the photography side of an elopement? Because there's not as much things happening compared to a full wedding day. Like how do you guys approach being creative on an elopement?
So I think like that's one of the things that we're also learning and usurping ideas from other photographers with, where we can kind of have the freedom to give ideas to clients. Like, you know, we can, instead of it just being your ceremony with some beautiful views somewhere, or at the place that you guys first met, or whatever, like we can go with you on a coffee date. We would hop in a helicopter with you. We would go to wherever, like a vacation spot you want to go to, and photograph you there. Take your dress with you to the Grand Canyon, whatever you want to do. There's a lot of freedom to go do the things that you want to do with an elopement, and to kind of be able to package that for people and say, you know, these are the things that you get to do. Right. It's not just 5 minutes of photography. Mm-hmm. We can make this whole day a thing for you. So I think that's one of the things that kind of leans me more into elopements anyways, as it is, because it's just like, dude, you can turn this into a whole thing for your day where it's just you and the person that you love, that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, that you're hoping to spend the rest of your life with. And you're not spending a bunch of money on people that you'll never see again. Just like come and eat. I
think it's also letting them see the vision as best as we can. I think for elopements, because we haven't shot so many of them, it's hard to kind of showcase that to people right now, but kind of letting them know, like, hey, literally whatever you want can happen. You know, you want to go kayaking, like he said, you know, doing all these adventures, and then being captured. It's like, you know, put your phone away. We got you, you know, and it's just letting them see the vision, and also curating their elopement to what they feel is special, not so much just saying like, oh, well, if it's not in a mountain, we're not doing it. You know, it's like, it's there's no limits to this, and unless you need permits, but there's no limits to this. And I think letting our clients see that and envision that.
There's limits. She's saying that, but if they were to be like, look, my wife and I are UFC fighters, and we like, y'all gonna have to hold up, man. First of all, I don't want blood on my gear.
Or skydiving.
So anything crazy. I might. We already did like a hot air balloon. Yeah. So if somebody wants to do an elopement in the sky, I'm down.
But yeah, no, just letting them see the vision, and letting them know that literally it could be whatever they want, and it's just them too being intimate. Like I said, not being intimate, but like, you know, in that moment, just kind of, you know, indulging in that love.
Yeah, because I think you definitely can be a lot more creative, you know, because there's just more time. And the one thing I find when I shoot like big weddings is like, usually there's not enough time to do portraits with the bride and groom. Absolutely. So there's this one time where one of my couples, they just told me, I was like, oh, can we do a pre-wedding shoot, you know, months before? And they were down to wear the same wedding dress and the suit, which was awesome. And I think a lot of couples just don't even think about that, right? Because they want to surprise people, like especially the bride. They want to surprise the bride, their family and friends on the wedding day. But it's like, okay, from our perspective, it's like, dude, we got like 10 minutes to do bride and groom photos.
Man. And then what sucks is that like I said, we don't get to create our timeline. Yeah. You know, if we had the choice, listen, golden hour is the best hour. Exactly. You know, but a lot of times with the venue, because they have such a curated time, we have to tend to them at their time. So, you know, the coordinators are probably going to put us right after the ceremony, and it's not golden hour, and it's probably really bright outside, or the area is not as nice, so we can't travel somewhere. So we have to kind of just go with the flow, and we don't have that control. And then when everything's behind, we kind of get sent to the back burner a little bit, because, you know, everybody has to be there to eat. And I mean, we don't get sent to the back burner like that, but we have to work with that. Like as photographers, because it's like, hey, you had 45 minutes, now you have 20. Work with that. And then they want family pictures, and it's like stressful. You're kind of going and going and going, and it's you don't have as much control, which is why I always say weddings are not always for us, but it's for them. It
gets bad. Like we've had people that will like be a coordinator or make a timeline, and they'll be like, yeah, you have 10 minutes for it. And I'm like, do you hate me? Because the way that you just set me up right now, like I'm going to go, okay, if you're going to do me like that, I'm going to go into the kitchen right now and start snatching stuff from the chef. Because if I'm getting cut short, everybody getting cut short, like all of y'all.
No, it's a little tough.
It gets like that. You don't have, like you said, like you went with us to do an elopement, and it's kind of like, wow, I can just like actually do what I do. Like I can make art, and like we can come on, bride and groom, let's go run off and go. You know, you can actually take the time to do the things that excite them. Like with weddings, a lot of times I get it. Like they want that moment, like in a traditional wedding, but there's so much that happens on that day that it exhausts them. Yeah. And they're just like, hey, we just want to sit at this table.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're tired. Like
they're really tired right after the ceremony. It's like I need a moment, you know, to So yeah.
With an elopement, they're like, we ain't done nothing all day. We just said I do. Let's go have an adventure. Let's go do things. I'm not exhausted like that yet.
Exactly.
There wasn't a whole lot of just, I don't know, performance anxiety for them. There's not a lot of stress that goes behind that. There's not a whole lot of buildup. And, for someone who, I mean, obviously if you're madly in love, there's buildup because it's just like, oh my God, it's our big day, no matter what. Yeah. But there's still like my wife and I, we still want to renew our vows again. Yeah. And it's like the thought of that leading up to it is kind of like, here we go. Yeah. But like, it's like, here we go, but let's also go have some fun. Not just, here we go. Our fun is going to be the dance floor, I guess. And that's it. Like, and then the night's done. And then we have to go honeymoon on top of that. Exactly. Like, you can literally take your elopement and make it a honeymoon.
I think that's why we also offer day after sessions. Because we have couples who are kind of like, hey, engagement session is cool, but I don't need it. And it's complimentary. So we're just kind of like, it doesn't change the price. But listen, if we do a day after session, and it's not literally day after, we kind of give them like 30 days or whatever. Yeah. You can put your attire back on and we can go wherever you want to, take those portraits that you didn't have a chance to take on the day of your wedding. Mm-hmm. So
that's a great idea. Mm-hmm. That's an awesome idea.
Day after session.
It can be a few different ways of doing it too. It's not just going to take pictures in your dress and tuxedo. It can be that there's people that do things like burning the dress. There's people that do things like getting the dress muddy and messy, trash the dress. Like they want to go out into when it's raining and they just want to run in the field with their groom or their,
their couple, their person.
Want to do, they want to do whatever they want to do that they couldn't do on the wedding day. Yeah. In their attire. And I think that that's pretty awesome. It gives you that kind of freedom that comes with an elopement. So
got it. That's awesome. Let's get into some misconceptions about wedding photographers. And this one came out a couple times on my previous podcast, is that we charge too much. What's your thoughts on that?
You do. No.
Look, this is what I always say to people. This is a luxury business. You don't need it, but you want it. And everything that goes into wedding photography, it's a lot. Yeah. It's not just like, I know everybody says it's not just a click of a button. It looks like you're just adding presets. It's like a lot more than that. It's we're a service-based business, first of all. Yeah. So we're not just charging for taking the photos. That's what's included with us being with you on your wedding day for 6 hours on our feet, dealing with everything that's happening with you. We're not just there standing watching everything unfold. We are, we're there providing a service and experience. Again, I know a lot of people say this too, but it's true. The education behind it and the education that you continue to kind of invest into this business. When you're a legal business, all the taxes, all the taxes you have to do. Like costs, if I can show people what we really profit from it, they're gonna be like
making less than minimum wage sometimes.
Like, it sounds like a lot, but it's just like a job. You see your gross income, but you only see the net. Exactly. Like it's not how you think it is. So.
It's that upfront cost that they see that scares them. They're like, oh my God, thousands of dollars. And I'm just like, yeah, but you have to understand how a lot of that money is allocated. And then you have to understand that my job isn't just showing up on your wedding day and just shooting and that's it. Yeah. Like it's the before work, the then work, and then the after work that comes into play. Like all the before work, obviously the education that goes behind whatever you're doing. Like I'm talking hours and hours and hours of having to learn something, having to try and fail at things and trying to make sure that you're getting it just right to the point to where now you feel like you wanted to hire me. And now that I've worked and I'm clicking this button that you feel like that's all I'm doing. I trust if I hand you my camera, you're not going to know what you're doing. Right. So there's that. It's different than just clicking the shutter on your phone. There's a whole different world when it comes to using our equipment, and it's not just the camera. It's also the lights that are involved with it. It's also the type of lighting and the direction of the light that you're using. And then on top of that, it's okay. I have to make sure I'm affording insurance because what if somebody trips over one of my lights? I got to make sure that I have a backup camera. I have to make sure I have a camera with dual card slots on it, and that's a more costly camera because if something happens to the SD card, I have to make sure I have a backup. I have to make sure I have these storage processes at home so that when I bring your gallery home, I have a backup system of operations. A backup of a backup, right? And so those things cost money. Oh, my computer started acting up. I have to get another computer. I have to get this one repaired. I broke something on this part of my camera, or I tripped over something at a wedding and broke something at a camera. I did an engagement session and the wind knocked over my light and I had to buy replacement pieces for my lights.
It's a lot of investment. A lot of investment in education, equipment. yourself, when we're choosing to do this. I mean, we're part-time photographers, so we can only imagine what full-time photographers go through, but this is your income to support your family at the end of the day. So it's just, is it a lot of money? Yes. Honestly, it is. But like I said, it's a lot that goes into it.
You get what you pay for.
Well. Yeah. Exactly. You get what you pay for.
And we're the only vendor that is not done after the wedding day. We're still working.
We're still, exactly. That's why I said we're a service-based business a day of.
Like the amount of time I have to sit here and edit. And like there's photographers that are phenomenal. Like I was talking to one of my friends and she was like, yeah, the Farrells, I talked to them. He says that he finishes a whole wedding, I think he said in 3 hours. Like a whole wedding either in 3 hours or I want to say 3 hours or 3 days, but 3 hours. And for me, I'm just like, see, we got a 6 to 8 week,
8 to 10,
8 to 10 week window because this is a lot of photos. And I'm just like, and it really takes you back to the fact that it's like you're doing a lot of work. You're doing, the shooting is one thing, but you have to take all of that back home and still edit it and still deliver and present it in a professional way. Like, on top of the fact that if you are a part-time photographer, you're working a day job. I homeschool my kid. I have a wife I also need to tend to. I have, I need to have a work-life balance or some kind of social life, which I don't really need because I don't want to talk to y'all. No, I need Call of Duty and video games. So like, to be able to like actually live your life and be able to like, we're not even really able to write ourselves paychecks from what we do because we're constantly having to put that money back into the business. We're constantly having to pay for things. And so we should be charging more. Yeah. So y'all should be paying more. No. Because we like to be able to get the reviews that we get back, to be able to get the people just like, this was immaculate. The work is this and this and that. And it's just like, I could be charging more. I could be making a little bit more for what I do so that I'm stressing less. I can get more help. I can outsource this instead of wearing 17 hats to do everything in this business.
Exactly.
And it costs to pay for those outsourced things.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that a lot of clients don't realize is that we do more than one thing, right? We're the back admin and we do all the editing. Unless you outsource that, we do all the communication. I mean, there's so much we have to do before the wedding day. Right. I mean, just making sure we have the right equipment, scout the location. I mean, so many things.
I think that a lot of people, I mean, not to call it like the microwave generation, but a lot of people have this concept of, I'm paying for something, it should be easily made in the factory and you can deliver it to me. Like for most things that we buy, like if I order something from Amazon, why is it taking a month to get to me? I'm upset. Like I'm calling, like, I'm tracking my package. I'm trying to make sure, hey, are you guys almost done with my gallery? Like I'm trying to make sure you're going to deliver it to me on time. And I think that that's because we're accustomed to being able to pay for something and get it like almost instantaneously. And if you want things instantaneously, sometimes it's either going to cost you more or the quality is not going to be as great. And I feel like with a service-based business like photography or with any kind of art work in the first place, those things take time behind them to really develop them, to really curate them, to really make them, polished.
And it's a lot of mental stress too. Like, we, like you said, we work even after. So if like you're not satisfied with your gallery, we don't just stop there.
Right.
We're going to keep going until you are satisfied with your gallery, until it becomes something where it's like, okay, we tried. But the mental stress that comes with it is also very not spoken about.
Awesome. I think with any business owner, especially small businesses, there's a lot of that they have to carry the weight of. And I think that most households can kind of understand that weight on them, on their shoulders when they think about the fact that, you're working a day job, but when you come home, like having to have all your papers for taxes lined up on your table and you're just like stressed out about, you're just stressed out about the bills. You're stressed out about this. You got your doctor's notices. You got your kids' notices from college, from high school or school. And it's just like, there's just a lot of things you're trying to balance, like doing all that, but then making that times 2 because you're basically doing the same thing with the business. You're bringing in all these new taxes. You're bringing in, you have to pay for your whole own health insurance. You got to pay for, well, I have, like for me, I have multiple sclerosis. How am I going to navigate this and still, shoot weddings and stuff at the same time? So there's just a lot that goes on with it. But that's not to say that any of that is the client's problem. Right. And I think my thing that I pride myself on is putting myself out of the way. I may have all these concerns, all these expenses and costs of doing business, but I don't really make that out. Well, I mean, you should pay what we're charging you because the A, B, and C is like, this is what we do. in it, and these are the stresses of what we do for the sake of this podcast. But in general, when they're coming to us, it's like, bro, you're going to continuously see a smile on my face at the end of the day. Like, I'm going to present to you the best that I can with my photography, and that's what I want you to see is the front end product. If you have questions as to the back end and how much work goes into it, then yes, we can lay that out.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what do you guys say when a client says to you guys, you know what, I can't afford you guys. You guys are a little outside my budget. What do you guys say in response?
The door.
No. Oh, they're gonna like have such a bad perspective of us. Oh my gosh. No. Well, what I do, I do ask them. I do ask them like what their budget is. One, because at the end of the day, like I said, it has to be realistic. For us. I can't just go with somebody's budget just because. It has to be realistic for the both of us. As of lately, unfortunately, like I don't modify anymore, but I do offer extended payment plans. Because like he mentioned, he has multiple sclerosis. So at the end of the day, I'm not the lead photographer. So I need to hire a lead photographer at the end of the day, and I need the finances for that. But when they tell me that we are out of their budget, I kind of ask them, what is your budget and what are you looking for? Because again, I don't know, a lot of photographers are going to knock me down for this, but I sometimes let my clients know that everything they want, they don't need that many hours like they think they do. Sometimes, you know, if you've seen your gallery, there's like 3 hours of dancing. And they're just like, you know, I just kind of like the ceremony up to like this point. And it's like, well, then you don't need my 8-hour package. You might work with my 6-hour package. You know what? I can customize it and give you a 5-hour package. But I don't, I give them the flexibility of kind of like choosing how many hours they really need versus what they think they need, and just kind of educating them. You know, they don't know what they don't know.
And so I don't really care much for the kind of people who try to compare what we do to like, well, when you go to a Gucci store, do you think they're going to customize? No, but they have cheaper items. They have a different thing that kind of may fit. They have options that may fit your budget. Like we want to do a merch line. We want to have sweaters with our logo on it or hats with our logo, just because it's like, look, I can't book you for my wedding, but like I really like everything about what you guys do or what you stand for, what you represent, and I want to be a part of that. I want to have a little token of that. And let me buy whatever you have. Like,
I mean, it's all about communication at the end of the day. Like I always let people know, you know, what is your preferred contact method, first of all, because I can't read you. I don't know if all this, you know, stalling is because you're embarrassed or something. I don't know. But I like that communication and clarity. Like if you only need A, B, and C, I might be able to offer you A, B, and C, but I won't know unless you are transparent with me, and then I can be transparent with you.
And I don't like to assume that everybody is kind of trying to finesse us out of our budget, like out of our packages. And they're just like, let's see how much they'll let me slide with if I tell them my budget is $1,000 and just play off like I can't afford it. And it's like, I don't think everybody's trying to do that. Y'all better not do that. I don't think everybody's...
It's just communication. I think it's just communication. I like to be very open. It's just like, let me know what you need. And I will be honest and tell you, yes, I can help you, or let me refer you to somebody. And I think that's another thing. We like to keep it going. If you're not going to book with us, that's completely fine. But let me help you find somebody that does match you. I have a whole list of people that we trust. So yeah, just open communication.
Never let them walk away without something.
Exactly. That's awesome. Let me ask you guys about, because some photographers, you know, they, like you said earlier, like they have a set package and they don't want to go below 8 hours, right? Or they only have one collection and that's it. What's your thoughts on that?
I think if they are set, there's a reason for it. You know, that doesn't hurt to ask, but I think a lot of times, at least the people that I've kind of seen that are like that, there's a reason why they do the things that they do. And I don't know the reason, but I just believe that when you're that set, there's reason behind it. Maybe it's just the type of work that you do. Maybe it's your situation. I don't know, but I don't really find that odd. I think it's just a matter of asking questions. But yeah, they do the things they do for a reason. I think I know a photographer who only does like 8-hour packages, and that's it. And, you know, when you see their work, it's like, oh, but that means they have a whole hour with the couple. Oh, that means that they require a whole hour with the couple. They work around this, they work around that. They deliver this, they deliver that. So, yeah, I think it's just kind of a matter of that's just how they work.
Yeah, I think everybody just has their own approach, right? I know Caitlin James, she only offers one package and that's it. Like, you know, she doesn't go below that. But I think I get it because she's been in it for so long that that's for her to make an income. she figured out that's what works for her, right? Whatever works for you and whatever you prefer, because it's your business. At the end of the day, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
If you want to offer just 1 hour sessions for like engagement sessions, some people do 2 hours. I mean, there's so many ways to cut the cake, right?
And I think that's important for like people to know that in this industry, I understand that there's a way, like a business way of marketing, doing business. But at the end of the day, you can run your business however the hell you want. Yeah. It's like whatever. Legally. But no, I mean, like at the end of the day, because I always hear people complain about, oh, this photographer is charging so cheap and it's hurting the rest of us.
That's another one I want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm like, I understand it's hurting the industry a little bit, but the goal, in my opinion, at the end of the day, is that the clients that come to you are coming to you because they like your work and who you are as a person, who you're representing. Not because, I mean, there are a lot of shoppers. But if you're worried about the industry hurting your business, then you're probably not showcasing yourself enough for these people to know who you are.
Yeah, because another one that's always like that topic that's always top of mind is like, oh, on these Facebook groups, oh, there's this photographer that charges like $50 an hour family session, and it's hurting the entire industry. What do you guys think about that?
I have my thoughts on that. I'd love to do some study and research on it. My first thoughts to that is automatically stop pocket checking people. Like get up out of their pockets.
Yeah.
That's none of your business. Like that's none of the business that you own. I believe that there are tons of weddings happening. I believe it was WPPI 2019 that we went to that had they actually had the stats for how many weddings that were happening every year.
Yeah.
And it was like a crazy amount, like millions of weddings happening, right?
Billions. I think it was so many that there were so
many weddings that it was just like, you have no reason for not getting a piece of the pie.
Yeah. Let me just interject really quick because I actually looked it up recently. So in 2022, in the United States, it was 2.9 million weddings.
Yeah.
Wow.
It came out to about 7,000 weddings a day. And then in California alone was ranked number 1 in the United States. And it was 290,000 weddings a year.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially if you're a traveling photographer, if you go out around the United States to the different states, you're hitting everything. There's room for everybody from the top numbers to the bottom numbers. I personally have an opinion that we do not affect the industry as a whole when we are the smaller people.
Yeah.
And in the sense that the ones that really affect the industry are the ones that set the tone for the industry. I feel like my quality of work, as great as people think it is not at the quality of maybe a $15,000, $20,000, $50,000 photographer that shoots a wedding. They are setting the tone. They are the top of the line. They are the person that sets the precedent and the standard for the entire industry.
Yeah.
If that person that has immaculate work, immaculate quality, immaculate service, delivery time, all that stuff, were to suddenly say, oh, I think I'll just start doing my weddings for $1,000.
Yeah.
I feel like me as a photographer, at the level that I am right now, I have to lower my price because I'm not better than this person. I have to lower my price because the best of the best is not even that high. The Bugatti and Bentley and Rolls Royce of photography is not even that expensive. Why would I go and pay for my Honda, even though, it's going to last longer? Why would I go and pay for this car that's not a luxury car when I can get this luxury car for this price? Like, I have to, for me as a person that's in business, I have to lower my price because the top of the line standard is now lower.
Right.
And I feel like because they are high, they are what sets the tone. The wedding photographers that are the industry leaders, the educators, the ones that are actually up there, they're setting the tone. They have the precedent.
Right.
I feel like Samantha from down the street that's doing a wedding for $85. It's like, then you go look at the photos and it's like, oh, that looks like $85.
I don't know. I kind of have to disagree with you a little bit just because you're talking about, these industry leaders basically setting the tone. But if they all came together and said, hey, we figured that, with inflation and with whatever, we have to lower ourselves to match, I don't know, whatever. And they lower themselves. Does that mean that you're going to now be like, oh, well, they lowered it, so we have to lower it too? Like, I don't know. I've seen photographers who charge dirt cheap, like $85 for whatever, and their work is nice. I've seen a lot of photographers who have great work and they charge less. And to me, it's like, I don't think it matters what you charge. If it doesn't work for your business, it doesn't work for your business. Move on to the next person. There's a client for everybody.
Yeah.
So
I think that at that point, then it would be, if it doesn't work for me as a business, then move on to another business as a whole. Like as a photographer, if the industry as a whole started tanking and the pricing of everything kind of dropped, it would be like, oh, I can't make money in that business. I'm not going to really be in there in the first place. Like, at the end of the day, if you're going to be in business, you're kind of in business because you need to make money from the business. Otherwise, it would be like, I'm just here to make art and I just want to make art. And I don't really want to put a price tag on my art. I don't want to monetize my art. So I kind of feel like if the industry leaders were to say, well, because of inflation, we want to lower everything down, then for me, it's either I have to kind of get in line with that, or I have to be the odd one out. And people are going to be like, yeah, why do you charge so much though? Because I just read in Bride magazine that like the top of the line photographers don't even charge that much. I would rather just go to the top of the line photographer. The only reason I'm coming to you is because I know you maybe, and I'll pay more because I want to invest into you because I love you. But at some point, it's kind of like, hey, I love you, bro, but I can get so-and-so over here who has accolades, who has education, who's been doing this for 20 years. You ain't even been alive that long. I mean, I have. But.
I mean, I guess you're right. I guess we do have to think about like just your art. I wasn't really thinking about the art portion of it. I was thinking just, money-wise, but I guess at the end of the day, I don't know. I just feel like you can charge whatever you want to charge. And the clients who are going to value your work and yourself, they're going to go with you, whether the next person is charging $50.
There's so many factors. When I thought about that, I immediately thought when I first started, it's like, well, I mean, if I'm starting out, I'm not going to charge $600 for a portrait session. So maybe sometimes what happens in these Facebook groups, they don't really understand the full story, right? Maybe this photographer is starting out. Like that's what you got to do to make a living. I mean, you're not going to charge. Yeah, you're not going to charge like Bugatti prices in the beginning, right? You're going to charge McDonald's prices. Still
came in here with a radio flyer wagon, not a Bugatti. Why are you charging Bugatti prices?
I do hear a lot, though. One thing that I've been reading a lot is that a lot of people say, be careful with these photographers who charge little because 9 times out of 10, they're probably not like a legal business yet, either or at all. And I mean, obviously that's important because you come to a wedding and it's like, hey, where's your license? Where's your permit? Where's your
exactly
all the stuff? You get caught in like the middle of somewhere and it's like, where's all your paperwork? And then it's like it's not the client's responsibility at that point. So
there's always different situations. Like the photographers I see that charge like a lot like that, they have a lower price like that. They tend to have like a whole lot of side hustles too. Like you also sell clothes out of a van. That's everybody's so creative. So you got like a lot of things going on. So it's like, how can I know that when I book you that you've invested into your business because you're making an amount of money that you need to invest into a business. Like if you are charging $200 for a wedding, then that means that more than likely you don't have the money to afford a high quality camera. You probably don't have the money to afford a high quality backup system. You probably don't have the best education in what you do because you're utilizing free YouTube videos mostly. Like you're not able to really invest back into yourself. And that's even a thing for ourselves. Like we notice that if we, not only are we not charging what we really could be charging, we probably could charge more.
Right.
But if we're not making enough bookings, you can't really invest back into the education that you want to or invest back into your business the way you want to. So I feel like if you're charging at a low rate, you're really either pulling out of your paycheck from your day job or from your clothes you sell from the band. Like you're having to figure out a way to compensate. And therefore, I feel like I can't trust that you will have everything that I need as a photographer. Most people, I feel like, don't really even think about those things until a photographer opens up their mouth and says it. Like the whole... You need to make sure that if you're going to book a wedding photographer, you need to make sure they have like a backup system that and it's like you're shooting a lot of people in the foot right now because just let them.
But it's important. It's important, and I think at the end of the day, we don't know nobody's story. So whether they charge $80 or $800, we don't know either. They might be learning, and it's a learning experience. We all had to go through learning experiences, and we charged $80 at one point, $35 at one point. So, or free, exactly.
Free,
So I think at the end of the day, it's like, hey, if this works for you, cool. If it doesn't, move on. There's a lot of clients for us. So we need to reach those clients, not the ones on Facebook where it's like, oh, well, they don't want us. So
new photographers, that wear and tear and shutter clicks on your camera start to add up. That stuff will add up, and then you'll just be like, I don't know why it doesn't work the same way. And it's like,
I need a new camera. I need to charge.
You don't have the money now.
Let's talk a little bit about when you guys were starting out. I wouldn't call it a failure. I know it's sometimes, because sometimes failures could be the greatest like insights to things that could be a positive thing. So maybe what's some things that you guys learned that became a positive thing?
Forward.
I think, that was actually a good question because I was just letting him know on the car ride over here. I'm just like, this is a hard question to answer because even though our whole business feels like a failure. No, I don't like to call it failures. I like to call them like learning experiences. And I think for us, at least for me, I think going into this business without really knowing what we were doing it's still the biggest learning experience, because, we kind of got this hype from people saying your work is so good, charge money, but then we were like, well, we want to be a legal business. So, imagine charging $80 and then having to tax that. Exactly. It's a lot. And then thinking you can do your own taxes. Don't do that. Thinking you can do your own taxes. That was a big learning experience. And then getting like our first unsatisfied client. That's a big learning experience. Yes. It's that one hurt me. Yeah. That one hurt me. And it's but at the end of the day, depression. No, really, I think I cried like twice. And it's so funny with that personal experience. Like, I tried to nitpick the client. Like, I was just like, no, it wasn't me. It was this, or was this. I tried to find like all these reasons why it wasn't our fault.
Can you explain what happened?
Well, just to kind of make it short, there weren't enough pictures. And that was kind of like me. I dropped the ball because it was me having to deal with the brides and the bridesmaids. But what I did that day was I read the vibe. I read the vibe to the T. I was just like, this is happening, so I'm not going to push for anything. And then the coordinators were amazing. They were on time. It's the first time ever that the coordinators were like really on point. So there was no time. But I think what I felt like I should have done better was just being more assertive. Hey, I'm going to do this. And then I also do a questionnaire. And in the questionnaire, I kind of go really hard on what they say. So this person said, family from another country is coming. That's important to me. So I kind of went full focus on that and didn't really pay attention to everything as a whole. And there was just photos that weren't there that they wish were there. And I think what was beautiful was that this person was not rude. They were very vocal, very transparent. And I felt like I just didn't know how to take that. It was just like, oh my gosh, you're not happy. We're done. We're never shooting weddings again.
Rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria.
And so I think from that, it kind of took me some days to just be like, let me really analyze the situation.
Yeah.
What did I do? What could have I done better?
Yeah.
What did you do? What could you have done better? As a team, being his second photographer, I think I just get too comfortable being under his wing instead of expanding and being like, all right, let me go do what I do, which I can do. But it was just that comfort zone that I'm always in, where I'm just like, hey, you go do this. You know what I mean? Like,
you gotta fly.
Yeah, it's like I do everything I can to keep him on track instead of just being like, hey, I'm noticing these details. Let me go handle them. And I think that's what I should have done. But aside from that, everything's okay. I think we learned from that. I'm glad it happened at the end of the day because I would have probably never really taken that in and been like, we need to do A, B, and C. As far as with business, I just wish that we took business classes or understood what business was about, because it's hard. It's hard to run a business. And like I said, when you're struggling with mental illnesses and physical illnesses, it's really hard to balance everything all at once. So I wouldn't say these are failures. I would say they're just learning experiences that we're still learning.
I think... Nah, man. What they should have done. No, I feel like we got really comfortable with the fact that a lot of times when things don't go right, it's not us that things aren't going right for. It's not us that's causing things to go bad. Or a lot of times when in almost exact same situations, it's kind of like, you know what, you guys did your best, you gave it your all type of thing. And we tend to usually overshoot. We end up going home like, why did I take 5,000 photos of just this moment? It was only an hour. And it's either, the bride is just like, you know what, we just don't have time, but it's not because of you guys. You guys don't make the timeline, or we just don't have, you didn't get enough photos because I was running late. And we tend to have a lot of brides that would be running late, or they'll just not have enough time to get the things done that they want. I've never experienced having somebody with like cold feet, so they just didn't come out or anything like that. But, I can imagine like someone that's just like, well, she's not coming out of the room right now. So like, there's just always been some kind of setback that has happened. Somebody caught a flat, somebody did this, somebody, anything that sets it back, and it keeps us from being able to do our job. But when those types of things happen, we still try to make the very best out of it in any way that we can. We never want them to walk away unhappy, even if it's their fault or the coordinator's fault or something else happened. It's kind of like, well, hey, yes, this was the one day event, but we got a lot of photos of your family and friends. Let's take you somewhere the next day. Let's do a day after or something.
And I think I was so like, let me give you this, let me give you that, let me give you this to compensate. But it's like, this person said, this was a one-time thing.
Exactly.
I don't see this family often.
Yeah.
So not to say that she ever said it was ruined, but it was kind of just that feeling of like, I think seeing the words, this makes me really sad. I was like, no, I just made a bride sad. But like I said, not to throw, any blame on anybody. I believe that this was something where
no, it was us. It was us.
It was us. But like I said, I don't know if this is how you run it, but like when you sense drama, when you know there's drama, or when you know that someone's unhappy or something's missing or whatever, a lot of times you don't want to overwhelm what's already happening. So I think that's what I did. I was just like, okay, this is happening. Not everybody's here, but let me try to get this shot quick. Let me do the best, at least one shot instead of multiple. And in my head, I was like, yeah, I did that. I got the shot at least, and then we got to go. And then next thing you know, it's like, wait, there's like only 3 shots of us. And I was like, where?
I think that's the hardest part about shooting a wedding is that there's so many things you have to keep in mind on the wedding day, right? Especially if there's so many events happening. It's like, okay, did I get that scene? Did I photograph the reception? Did I get those candids right? So how do you guys work together on the wedding day? Now learning what you learned when that happened, how do you guys approach working together?
I think essentially one of the biggest things, even before we get too deep into that, is it's not one person shooting this wedding for us. It's 2 people. And I would love to grow a team even bigger because you can't be everywhere all the time, all over the place, and there's a lot going on a wedding day. There's a lot of moments that are happening. And like she had mentioned, there's drama going on here, or there's something missing here. And it depends on how you are as a person. Some people are like, you'll see that stuff happening. You're just like, oh, shoot, what do I do? I'm the kind of person that just depends. Like, for the most part, I'm just like okay, everybody, look, we got this going on over here. I see everybody's kind of not feeling it. Like, let's try to, try to make light of the situation. I'll try to crack a joke, try to get everybody back on the same page. Sometimes there's things that happen. And I've second shot for a photographer that will attest to this, where people are doing things that are at the wedding and they're not helping the situation. Like, they came either high on drugs, or they're drunk, or they're just causing more drama, more problems. And it's stressing out your couple. And the person that I work for, she is very vocal. So she will say, all right, like, enough of that. And so I pick up on that. I'm just like, I like that, because it gets the bride and groom to see that you took control of the situation and you getting things back on track. So I feel like that's kind of like key for me, to try to set the tone no matter what's going on in the room or in the environment, because they will get overwhelmed with whatever drama, with whoever's not there, with whatever's going on, and it will mess things up for your photos. But
with us, I think well, kind of piggybacking off of that, it's a balance. Although we're both there to do sort of the same job, because like I said, he's lead, so you're gonna find me at the details, at the place, getting all the stuff that he cannot get while he's shooting, the couple, or when time's running short. You know how it is. Things change. Okay, that means I need to go over here, or I need to go over there. So I think that balance of just being able to handle situations with our different personalities. He's very assertive. He's very to the point. I'm more of like the nurturer, more emotional, more like, hey, calm down. You're beautiful. Here's a drink. Like, I think we kind of balance each other out. And then again, with his condition, when he's doing the ceremony, you're going to find me in the back getting different shots until it becomes something where he's like, tap out, but we try to kind of, for the most part, we're both together.
That's awesome.
Because I do, like I said, you're going to get multiple shots during the ceremony, during the reception. But when it comes to get ready and first look or anything, I do like to make sure that we have enough time for everything. So I'll be like, hey, 15-minute tops with the groomsmen, hurry up, get it together, let's go. Next is the bride or the couple. We just kind of keep each other accountable during the day. We help each other throughout the day. And then with our attitudes, with our personalities, we'd like to either simmer down or deal with whatever's happening. We are literally like extra helping hands for our couples. And that's the beauty of having both of us as a married couple, is that, hey, you have enough time. You got the shooting. Let me go calm this person down. Let me go offer water to these people. It's really hot. There's
so many things. You become the uncle sometimes that has, okay, we got a crying baby, but we still got to get this shot type of thing. Like you have to help them out in so many different ways with so many different things, where when you come into this, you're just like, oh, I'm just taking pictures. You're not. You are now a daycare babysitter. Like,
and that's
you are now a grandfather.
Because we're married and because we know each other and we know the vibe. Yeah. It's like we know what to look forward to. So when we hire like a second shooter or something, you don't work the same unless you work together as a team. You don't know the vibe. So it's kind of like you're sitting there like, okay, they're just taking pictures, but are they also doing this? Are they also making sure that this is okay? So yeah, I think it's a cool little balance.
That's awesome. Has there been any situation during the wedding day? Because we all know anything can happen on a wedding day. Drama could happen. People are late. Can you describe a moment during a wedding that was probably one of the most difficult times that you guys had to overcome?
Overcome like with ourselves or just
like any maybe equipment or something happened during the wedding day or anything?
I think one of the ones that is memorable for me, I don't know if this is going to count, but one of our very like dearest clients, we love them so much. There was tension between her and her mother. And I have this weird thing where I'm not confrontational. I am very like much so the person that's going to be quiet. But when I see somebody that I care about being hurt or being kicked down or whatever, it's like my inner lioness comes out. And so when I noticed that this bride was just miserable, like she couldn't even enjoy her moment, I felt like I had to step in. I had to be very like, I'm sorry, I'm going to take this moment just for the bride. I'm going to need you to kind of step out to kind of give her the moment to breathe. And I think that was just difficult as a photographer to watch because you're capturing these moments. And then when you look back at the photos, all you think about is the misery that's happening while, and so I think for me, it's, like you said, setting that tone and being assertive to make sure that nothing else continues because it's only going to get worse as you go. It's only going to get worse as you go. So being able to kind of simmer that down, I think it's hard. It's hard because then you get those who are just kind of more vocal towards you and snap back.
And then like I have to be careful with how I approach situations too, because like I do have to, set the tone. Yeah. But sometimes like the non-business side will come out of me, and I'm just like, wow, I'm gonna let them talk like that.
Oh my gosh, I had this one.
That's crazy. No. World star.
We had this one wedding in it was in Big Bear, and this was my moment to shine. I was taking photos of the bride and her, I think it was her aunt. And so our Sony, we have the little, what is it called? With the eye bracket?
Oh, the eye sensor that kind of lets you look into the camera. Yeah.
So I had tapped it, right? This is the first time it ever happened to me. I had tapped it. And so I'm trying to take these super memorable photos. Mind you, this is like very emotionally like beautiful moment. And I'm taking these photos and there's nothing on my screen. There's nothing when I look in there, but I have a great poker face. So I'm just like, beautiful. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna need you to turn around. Okay, now
you better work.
I was doing like all these things. And then as soon as he walked in, I was just like, help. Help me. And so I had to kind of play it off and be like, you know what? I didn't really open the curtains well here. Let's retake these photos real quick. Nice. But I was freaking out. I was just like, I need to learn.
Anytime something happens with the camera, mind you, we have 2 cameras. We want to have 4. Like we want to be able to both have 2 cameras on our hips. And anytime something happens with these cameras, I swear it feels like your heart just drops down to your booty.
Oh my God.
You be like it's a sickening feeling when something happens with your camera
and you don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is. Yeah, and you accidentally push a button, anything.
Yeah, and especially when you're in the middle of taking photos, it's like you don't know what to do sometimes.
Yeah, and it just happened to me recently, and I was like, this has happened to me before. What, like when we did her brother's session, I was like, I pressed something, or I have my harness so the cameras will hit my hips sometimes. Yeah. Big old hips I got. No. So I pressed something, right? I pressed one of the drive modes on my camera and it switched it to where it takes 3 pictures at 3 different exposures. And I couldn't figure out, I was like, I know what this is. Yep. I fixed this before. Forget it. I'm just keep shooting. Like I just kept going and I tried to keep my poker face. And when I got in the car, I was like, this is pissing me off. Like
this we let it out.
Answer. Yeah, right. And then it was like, I fixed it right then. I was like, oh, okay. But it's all late now. Like I can't go back. Like,
so now you gotta cull through like 3 times more
3
photos.
times the photos. And, now it's like I should have used like the AI culling system, which would have gotten rid of like duplicates for me. But like just thinking about like back then, like that junk really sinks your heart into your gut. Man. Like it's scary.
It's scary to think that never happened at the beginning of our career, where it was like if it would have, I have no idea how we would have handled it.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on the fact that like, oh, this is a newer camera. Like everybody who uses the Sony A7 III will tell you that the menu is the hardest thing about that camera. They hate that menu. It is insane. Yeah. So when you bump something on that camera, Now you got, okay, hold on, guys. Let me get this manual out real quick and just try to figure out what's going on. So 1 second.
Let me tell you a situation. So I'm kind of familiar with Sony's because I had a Sony back then, and I was second shooting for another photographer. And keep this in mind, guys. When you rent cameras, they're gonna be in different settings.
Yep.
So she pulled out her second body, and she's like, "Yeah, I rented this out from a shop, but Mike, it's like." I'm seeing like zebra lines on here. Like, how do I take that off? Oh, it's in video mode, and you got to go back in the settings and actually take those out. And she was panicking because she was like, I can't take a photo. It's, just ruining my flow, right? And like, yeah. So that's one thing I learned. Like, okay, when you rent cameras,
check the settings.
Make sure you double check everything before you
take
start
the
shooting.
whole night. Go on YouTube, find best settings for portrait photography with said camera. Set that up and then don't touch it, right? But like that, I have a student right now that I'm working with, and that's one of her things is like, baby girl, you got to learn your camera settings because you're going to push something and it's going to freak you out. And then lo and behold, every time I hit something, my husband changed something, it messed it all up. I need help. And I'm like, we got to learn this camera. And fortunately, like I used to have a Canon, so I'm just like, okay, let me help you out, get this together. But it really sucks if you don't know what you're doing. And there's still things like that I don't use on my camera. You use what you use that work for what you need. And the rest of the stuff, I'm not going to touch video settings, but they're still right there in the menu. And you can still accidentally bump into those. And so I do not have the whole appendix of everything in my camera in my mind. I'm not going to have the whole glossary of every button of the whole anatomy of my camera in my mind. I'm using what I use best to get what I need. And even that goes for my students. Like, you don't have to learn the whole menu, but let's just try to figure out like the bare minimum so that whenever you bump into it, you at least know what you do.
The basics.
Another moment for me that was the drama type of thing. Like I said, we had one where this guy just showed up. He was either high on something or he was drunk and was like, dropping like racial type bombs at this wedding, and I'm the only brother in there, and I'm like, oh, you gonna keep that up? I'm gonna put this camera down. like he got real nasty, and then it's just like I talked to the lead photographer and I told her about it. She was like, I do not like that guy. Like she was already feeling it too, and she was telling me what's going on. And at some point, it got to the point where the bride and groom were getting disrespected by him, and they eventually got this dude up out of here. It was gross, and that's only one of the situations of drama that I actually got to witness with her. Like we've gone to one where the bride was just so disrespectful to her. Like she tried to avoid booking this bride by pricing higher. And the bride was like, "Now we got it," and still booked her. And then there's so much disrespect, so much drama that the lead came to me and her husband, and she was like crying about it. Like she was like, "I've never been disrespected." Mind you, this is like a top of the line photographer. She's like, "I've never been disrespected like this before. Like, what did I do?" I'm like, "You didn't do anything wrong." Like, she got disrespected. The videographer came in there, like, kicked the door open. I've never been talked to like that in my life yet. And mind you, me and my guy that I was doing video with, we're dealing with the groom. And so we're like, oh, they're part of, hey, you got cigars. We're taking these nice pictures. Go ahead and do poses. Like, it's always like that. Like, we're just chilling while the women are stressing out. And so we were turned up, and like people came in mad, people came in crying, and we're just like, what happened?
And I think that's the only time I will really kind of like grow a pair and just kind of be like, no, because at the end of the day, we need to be respected as vendors there. We're not, just because we get paid an X amount does not mean we have to take in. And that's why I have it in my contract. If at any point I feel uncomfortable or disrespected, I'm going to give you one warning. I'm going to let you know what's happening. And if nothing is happening, if nothing gets fixed, we're leaving. We're leaving because nobody should be dealing with that type of harassment or anything like that. So
the sad thing though, that a lot of times what people don't take into account is that your bride and groom are probably a godsend. Like they're the most beautiful people in the world. You're booking them. You're getting good friends with them. It's the other people that you don't know that you're bringing into the situation. Exactly. Now you're dealing with family members. Now you're dealing with the cousin and the uncle that just, I don't know you. I want to fight you because you have a camera. Like you don't know.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about so-and-so Uncle Bob, right? So let's talk about family photos because it happened to me a couple times. So I want to ask you guys.
You're with us with one.
About your approach on this, because like sometimes like you're doing family photos and then like Uncle Bob's like right over your shoulder, like taking photos and like suggesting things that you should do or take photos with this, and you're trying to direct the entire photo session. What do you guys think about Uncle Bob?
Okay, so we've never had to deal with somebody. We've had people kind of like intervene while we're shooting, but
kind of.
But Uncle Bob, have we really had an Uncle Bob? I mean, I don't know that we've had somebody who was really like, you should do this, you should do that? Have we?
So from a photographer perspective, no. We've had someone that had their camera. We've had a few times people had their cameras. They never overstepped us. They never got in the way of that. It was like, we had an Uncle Bob. I took a picture of him because it was so adorable. This is an older gentleman. He's got like his plate of food, and I probably should have put it on my Instagram. He has his plate of food in his hand. He's got his camera, and he's like squatting down to get the picture of the bride and groom. You were there. We got to see this gentleman, and it was just like, I have to get this guy's photos. Like, I love the fact that he's here taking pictures. I don't want to stop him from doing that.
I think as long as they're not in the way. Yeah. And like you said, I don't think I remember anybody ever like overstepping, but as long as they're not overstepping and it's just like an uncle, cool. But when you have professionals at that point or people who have a business, that's where I kind of am like, hey, my contract states this is exclusive.
Because sometimes I've been to weddings where sometimes I know they had a better camera than I did.
Yeah.
And they're like,
that long lens.
I'm like doing this. I'm like, what is that flash going on in the back?
We did have a situation once. This person's great though. I don't want to put them out there like that. But we did have a situation once where we were told that they were going to have their equipment out, but they mentioned it's just for our business.
Okay.
Like they're taking photos for them.
Yeah.
So, I did bring it up to the couple. I was just like, hey, I just want to make sure that you're aware of this. Just remember, contract states this. And they were like, yeah. So then everything got squared out.
Yeah.
But we noticed that there were photos and video being taken about the event. And then later on come to find out that this vendor offers photography in addition to whatever they do. And so to me, it was like, that's great and all. Yeah. But just, I do tell my couples, I kind of go through that because I'm like, it's one thing to take photos here and there, but if your client is giving you these photos and you're posting these photos when you hired a photographer, it kind of like gives off this misconception of like, hey, these are my photographers, not these.
Yeah, well, another thing too is like when there's other photographers, people in the wedding don't know that. Like,
exactly.
Are they part of your team? Because then, like, oh, why is he like off to doing like photos too? Like, so that's the thing too. Is like the perception, right? Because people don't know. Like when you go to a wedding, you don't really know what's like gonna happen. Because only the bride and groom, the vendors know what's gonna happen.
And then imagine if they go out and do something crazy.
Yeah.
And your business is being you're photographers, and then it's kind of like that's not us.
Yep.
So I think that's the important thing about the exclusivity.
Even second shooting, sometimes like my lead photographer that I've second shot for a lot, she will be like, okay, everybody look at my camera over here, not this one over here, because I'm over on the side. I'm like, you don't have to call me out like that in public in front of all your friends.
Right.
Like, so it's like, it's to the point now, like when I go and work with her, it's just like, don't look at me. Like I'm just shooting over here on the side. This is the main camera over here. Like, and I'll communicate that with them. Like, we're going to go out, we're going to do these photos. This person's going to do said photos. Don't even worry about me. I'm just going to get some sideline shots. That way it's not like, let me not look at him.
Yeah. And then we'll do that too. Whenever there is an Uncle Bob or anything, we clarify and we let the people know, hey, look at this camera first before you look at anybody else, because these were paid for. And a lot of times I'm grateful that our clients have been vocal. Hey, we paid a lot of money for these people. Get out. Like they'll either kick them out or they'll be like, before we do these phone pics or anybody else's pics, look here first.
Right. And it's sometimes it's not even their place to have to be vocal. It's ours. Yeah. And we've had different situations. We had one where a family member wants to be over our shoulder and kind of tell poses on how things should look. And it's kind of like, you gotta have to scoot back, man. Like, I'm gonna start wearing a hula hoop. Like, give me space. She was on
a box around me.
So basically, what they gotta like, man, if you don't back up, you're gonna catch my ear hair on fire. Yeah. So I think that there's just I like to also put myself in their shoes. Like, I think about the fact that, like, people that want to get the pictures with their phone, it's just like, I just want to get this picture real quick because I know that yada, yada, yada. I know that it's going to take a while for the photographer to deliver pictures and I just want this moment. But at the same time, like, just take a step to the side, or when I look away.
Wait your turn.
Yeah, you're going to get you'll have plenty of time to get shots, right? Or make it unplugged and just wait until you see the high quality photos. You're gonna love them.
Oh, that's why you need a coordinator.
Let's talk about that. What do you guys think about unplugged and plugged weddings?
Oh, I'm gonna go first.
Go ahead.
I love unplugged. I always let my couples know to look into it, unplugged, because I never really believed the hype of how much it affects the photo until we have this thing where when people take out their phones, we actually take like a zoomed in photo
of them taking off.
Like we purposely take a photo of them and keep it in the gallery because we want the couple to kind of see what's been happening behind the scenes. But I like Unplugged because people don't really know how much in the way they get. We've had, for example, we did a church wedding, and you know already there's so many rules that you have to follow. So when you're taking like these sacred photos for these people, and you see somebody with their phone in the middle of the aisle, you know we can't just Photoshop that. We probably can, but that's like extra work.
But I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's extra work. And then I think for me, I love the Unplugged wedding. However, I've noticed that people don't care about the Unplugged sign. They are still going to pull out their phones. So I always appreciate when the officiant is like, you know, just a reminder, this is an Unplugged wedding. Please do not pull out your phones. And then they always say things like, this couple paid extra money for these photos. Don't ruin that for them. I love Unplugged. I love seeing people in the moment, not taking the photos. And
because y'all aren't discreet when you take photos.
You're not. And then you hear it.
All in the middle of the aisle, like, ma'am, I can't not work around all of that. Like, there's no aisle anymore. Like,
so for me, like, I love both. Like, I have my opinions on it, but the thing that gets me is, I don't mind you taking a photo, but be discreet and don't like. I think a lot of people, they take video. That's why it's like the arms sticking out for 5 minutes because they want to capture the kiss.
The whole time you got your video camera set up for video, right in front of them.
Oh my god, yeah.
I mean, I love Unplugged.
I love Unplugged. That's my favorite, obviously, for photography reasons. But again, I know I can put myself in their shoes. I get it. I know why you're doing this. I understand it because I too would want those moments on my phone. I'm not going to get a link to the gallery after this.
For the ceremony, because I don't know why, but I think it's cool to see everybody's phones out during like the reception part of it. But yeah, for ceremony, I think I just appreciate the Unplugged because it's less work for us to get around. And mind you, also as photographers, we're trying to be discreet ourselves. Like we're not trying to be all up in your face. And to have to move around now the couple and people with their phones out, at some point, it just becomes like a, look, I'm sorry.
Because it's not just phones. Y'all bring tablets. 15-inch iPads.
Oh my gosh, yes. They bring tablets. And it's not for recording the ceremony for them. They're literally taking photos on tablets. And I'm just like, oh.
Why would you bring a tablet? First of all,
because
maybe they don't have great eyes. I don't know why they would bring a tablet.
Because I have servants.
Why do we have bigger TVs in our house? Like,
are they gonna watch Netflix while during the reception?
They said that camera can't do it.
They like to go Facebook Live, Instagram Live.
Are you zooming right now?
And you know what sucks is that the couple is so focused in whatever's happening that even though they have the sign, they don't even know all these people have their phones out.
Sometimes they do. They'll look at them and just be like.
But I'm saying like they're so focused, they're not gonna stop the ceremony. Hold on, put your phone away. You know what I mean? Like I think that's why I appreciate it when the officiant either is told or they kind of know the vibe and they remind people. Like I said, they don't listen. But at the end of the day, that's just our thing. We like to take zoomed in photos and kind of put them on the spot.
And then, there's another thing that I love to do. Like if it's not an Unplugged wedding, I will go up behind where they're taking with their phone and I will take a picture through their phone. So you can see the blurred out couple, but the focus is in the phone.
Sometimes those are cool though.
And they're really cool. Like it can be a hit or miss for whether you like having plugged or unplugged. And I think that if we're going to do an Unplugged wedding, what I would suggest is to get your family that is like your close family on board with that. So if they're in the aisle with the people and it's just like, hey, like put that away.
Put your phone away.
Put your phone away. Like pretend like you're at church. You know you're not supposed to be chewing bubblegum. So.
Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah, that's definitely a good. I've had one where the bride and groom wanted no phones at all. So they had a table. When you walk up to the ceremony site, you got to put your table, or you're not gonna be able to sit down. And I was like, "That's awesome."
Little babies.
Don't do that at San Bernardino. Never get that phone back. That'll be the last time you see that phone.
You'll trade, an old phone.
Did you upgrade? Yes, I did.
You'll never see those thousands of memes that you were never going to go back to look at anyway. It's all those screenshots.
Oh man, but yeah. So we just have a few more questions for you guys. Because time's running out here in this library.
Sorry.
It's all good. I wish we had like 4 hours for you guys.
We're going to set it up at our house one day and come back.
So this is part 1.
So, you guys have been doing this for a while now. And, you've been in so many different situations, different weddings and portraits. And so, has anyone come up to you guys? Oh yeah, you just told me that. Has anyone come up to you and like, you know what, really want to learn from you guys and shadow you because I love your style?
Yeah, I have a small Facebook chat, not group yet. I call it ABU, Auburn Blue University.
Nice.
Where I'm dealing specifically mostly with beginner photographers, like people that just grab their camera.
Yeah.
I have a couple of people that are intermediate that are in there, and we have a couple of plans for them because they're more leaning towards like we want to build portfolio types of things and just show me that one thing you did. But for the beginners, they're just like, I don't know anything about this. So show me everything you know up to this point.
Got it.
So one of the things that kind of kept me from doing that was imposter syndrome. I felt like I didn't know enough.
Right.
I shouldn't be teaching anybody. And it took somebody who was a high-end photographer, shout out to Dallas Logan, high-end photographer, who told me, you only need to know just a little bit more than someone else to be able to teach them something. And I was just like, oh, well, that made it easy. Because then like, I know a lot of things that this person doesn't know. I just didn't know that if I was qualified. Like I need a certificate from wherever to be able to teach.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I don't teach photography, so. But I am learning from him. I think that's also another cool thing about being married to a photographer is that, you know, I want to up my second shooting skills. Like I want to be able to come to other photographers and be like, hey, can I be your second shooter? Or if you need a second shooter, and then eventually become a lead shooter so that, again, like during summertime where he can't shoot weddings like that, I'm taking lead or I am able to kind of know my camera. So, I mean, I'm not teaching, but I'm learning.
Awesome. So, what 3 pieces of advice would you give someone that wants to get into the wedding photography industry and really wants to make this a career?
Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, unplug the mic. All right, we're done. Well, that depends. Like, are they a proficient and advanced photographer, or are we talking about somebody who's just like, I love weddings, I just bought this camera?
They just started out.
They just started out? Yeah. All right, yeah, don't do it. No. No, seriously, like, don't do it because don't shoot anybody's wedding yet because that is a very, very important day for them. And the last thing you want to do is just not know what you're doing. And I wouldn't say that our photographer didn't know what they were doing for our wedding, but there was just another level we wanted them to be at to where it's just like, okay, now, like this works for us. There's, lighting situations that you got to be prepared for. You got to have external lighting or whatever when it starts getting dark. Don't do it until you have gone under somebody's wing and you've done a few second shooter weddings. Get in there and assist, be a lighting assistant, serve your, do the footwork and do the sweat equity to earn your keep, basically. Like, get in and assist someone and see how they move around in a wedding. And once you kind of get the gist of how weddings work, you're more, and it's not just your wedding that you had.
Right.
Now you understand how other people's weddings work.
Right.
Now you can say, okay, well, I want to do a styled wedding because this is what I want to do. I've seen these kind of photographers do this kind of look and I want that. So I want to try to achieve that. Get yourself a mentor, get up under somebody's wing so that they can help you to expand your craft and your art, which is another point that I wanted to talk about, where it comes from someone who's an artist putting themselves into monetizing that. And it's kind of, it gets into a funky place. Like for us, that's why it's harder for us as a business, because I draw, I can paint, I can sing, I make music. I do a lot of artistic stuff. So trying to convert that into a business, it's like I was never business minded. I was an artist. So you got to kind of find out, are you a business-minded person? Can you manage a business? Can you keep a company going? Are you in a position even at your job where you can manage? Or are you the kind of person that's like, I can handle these tasks right here and I just want to spend my time creating? You got to kind of figure out who you are. And then, you start to develop more. You start to develop your style of photography more. You start to think about the movies you watch, the books you read, the music you listen to, and it starts to really develop who you are as an artist.
I mean, I think in short, educate yourself, practice, and I don't know about 3 key points, but I think those are the 2 main ones, is educating yourself in both the craft and the business side. Do a lot of free shoots, honestly, because at this time you can't really charge for something that you don't know how to do. But the only way you're going to really know what to do is by going through that experience. So practice a lot, offer a lot of sessions to your friends and family, I don't know about business as a whole, but I do feel like business and then like photography business is a little different. Same concept, but it's a little different. So yeah, YouTube University, it's free. Utilize the free resources that are out there before you invest into a course, because we've invested into courses and still haven't applied it.
You have to do the work.
Be consistent. So
Awesome.
consistency is key.
That's like she took everything that I just said and put it in a chat GPT and just cut it down to 3 key points.
That's why I said in short.
That's why we're married.
Man, that's like a whole new episode right there.
Yeah.
GPT. We'll definitely have you on for that one because I've been using it myself.
Yeah.
But what's next for AB photography?
Well, I think
closing the doors.
I know, right? We're handing it off. No,
you guys moving to Texas?
We actually want to move to Oregon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But I think what's next, you know, our goal is to become full-time. And then, like he mentioned earlier in this long podcast, we want to expand. We want to have a team that's like, you know, that values what we value, that work under us, learn from us. Eventually, we want to include other services like coordinating and efficient, just to kind of have like this one-stop shop.
That's awesome.
Not too different. I don't want to kind of like expand to like a whole bunch of different areas, but you know, like I said, elopements. We want to be able
skateboards there. Right? Like what?
They do here, no, but we eventually want to have like for elopements, for example, we want to be able to have our glam team. For our couples, we want to have the efficient, which I'm efficient.
I'm getting ready to start pick up doing makeup. So
you know, he's gonna start doing. You know, so it's like we want to be able to be a one-stop shop for certain things, offering coordinating services, offering like a whole bunch for them. But I think hopefully we're trying to be full-time and just make this our.
I think
our full income.
My main focus with all that said too, though, is like I wanted to get into videography, but like one of my mentors told me, she was just like, I wanted to master what I do first before getting into something else, because everything is shiny for me. I got ADHD. I will jump into something else real quick. And like I have the cameras and the equipment. I have a gimbal and everything to do video, but I have to stop and kind of just focus on really mastering my craft of photography and being more successful in that area. Then I can start saying, okay, I did it. Now let me add this to it. These other little plans and stuff, these big audacious goals that I had, the bag. I'm going to add those things.
Yeah, and we're also going to put a lot more focus on our portraiture side as well.
That's awesome.
We are leading towards like high-end portraits. And so, we're just kind of like trying to be consistent ourselves and hoping to grow from part-time to full-time and then being more creative.
Awesome. I think we still have some time. I don't know if anybody else has booked this, so we'll just keep going
until they come.
Big scientists wrap it up.
But I do want to touch. I always ask this question. So let's talk about social media.
Oh Lord,
because it's always top of mind of people's thoughts, and you know we have like I think everybody has ADHD now. That's 3 7-second reels. So what's your thoughts about like when you guys are posting on social media? How often should we post, and what should we post as wedding photographers?
Okay, so I hate social media. I think it's just hard. I believe in the 80-20 rule. 80% of our work, 20% us. But I don't remember the exact thing that this person said, but somebody that I was watching who was talking about marketing said, when you're posting, that is not marketing. You're just posting. Like when you just post a picture, you're just posting a picture. That's not marketing. You have to post with intentionality. And that is the hardest thing to do in social media, because you want people to see your work, but you also want these people to get to see you. And it's hard when I'm like, you're looking that way, and I'm just like, what's happening?
Sorry. I'm just checking. Just keep looking at this mic.
But yeah, no, it's I think when it comes to social media, how often should you post? Often. I think when you use the 80-20 rule, if you know that you go to this coffee shop often and you love their coffee, post about it. Post about how much you love the coffee. I think a lot of us are so caught up with the aesthetic of how our feed looks. So nobody wants to do like foam pics because it's like it messes up your aesthetic. But I'm like, I've seen people who have less followers and their stuff looks messy and have more clientele because you're being authentic, you're being raw. So as far as how often, as often as you can, but make sure that you're being raw and authentic with what you're posting.
Great. And this is why I leave that in her hands mostly, or why I will outsource at some point to a social media manager, because I honestly hate the concept of having to create something. My artwork that I do, that's all I really cared about doing in the first place. And now it's like, oh, by the way, now you have to market that and sell that. So get out there and make sure you post it. Do it a certain way. Figure out these algorithms that nobody knows how to do, not even Instagram themselves. Yeah. Get in there and do it. And also you have to take your pictures this way because you want to make reels, and you also want to, and I'm just like, hey man, can y'all shut up? Like, so I was just talking to one of my friends yesterday, and she was saying like she went to do a workshop. I think it was like a Zoom workshop with the Pharaohs.
Yeah.
And she said they started asking questions like, so why did you take your photos vertical for these kind of situations? When you take them landscape, you're like capturing the moment, you're capturing the full story. Yeah. Why are you not doing that? And in my head, I'm just like, I'm doing that shit because they told me to. Like,
yeah, no, it's hard
that way because I was told to.
Yeah.
So.
It's hard to keep up with all the trends. So I think one of the things that I stopped doing was following the trends as much as you need to until I become consistent. So until I can say I'm consistent with posting no matter what it is, then I'll kind of move to like the next level of like, all right, well, what trends are there? Because it's hard. I'm like, as people who, like I said, who struggle with ADHD or anything, it's hard to be consistent. Even with alarms, we kind of like swipe the alarm. We tried to do a scheduling post at one point, but a lot of times it just feels fake to me. I'm just like, posting a picture just feels like, hey, look at my stuff.
Yeah.
But talking to people,
like, it just feels so fake.
Talking to people is also hard because I feel like people know us already as just people who don't post. So when I do post, it's almost either like a, hey, you're talking, or like, oh, they're talking. So it's like, and it's hard.
Sometimes like I'll post like a collection of photos like on like Facebook or wherever. And it's just like, I'm just doing this because like, this is what I've been working on.
Yep.
These are some of the pieces I'm working on. I wanted to share it with the people that I actually love and value. And then it takes away that fake feeling. It makes it feel like I'm genuinely sharing this with you. I don't need to add hashtags to this. I'm not using this as a marketing ploy. I'm just sharing it with people so that they can be like, man, you've grown. Like, you've been doing stuff. And I'm sharing something that matters to me to the people that matter to me. Yeah. And so that's why it really kind of gets like in this really funky place when it comes to trying to do social media as a marketing tactic. Because I mean, if it really would up to me, I would just do like SEO and work on my website and then just put my stuff on my own website and build traffic there versus trying to use somebody else's platform that's specifically meant for you to mostly use it for marketing.
And then we mostly have photographers as friends. Yeah. So I think right now the goal for me is to reach
show and tell at that point.
No, I think for me right now the goal is to try to be more personable. Yeah. So that the couples could be like, oh my gosh, they love coffee. I love coffee. And that's what it's been lately. A lot of the clients that reach out to us, they reach out to us and we have something in common. So that's what I'm trying to kind of like show more in our social media. I love
like when we link up with other people that are not photographers, but they're artists or of some sort. They're craftsmen of some sort, craft makers. And they come to you and they're just like, understanding why you do what you do. They respect your work.
Absolutely.
And there's just that connection that people have, this like camaraderie with you.
And then they want to work with you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you take pictures of my product?
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here on my podcast. I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, we could talk forever. Yeah.
No, really.
Yeah, we could talk forever. So how can people find you? If you want to share your website and your social media?
Yeah. You can find us on Instagram, Auburn_Blue for our weddings, or Auburn Blue_portraits for our portraiture. Please spell Auburn correctly, because every time I tell people about it, they don't know how to spell that word. Just Google it. Or AuburnBluePhotography.com. That's our site. And you can also find us on Facebook at Auburn Blue Photography.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all we have.
Awesome. And you offer efficient services too, right?
For elopements. More on the intimate side. I'm not a great public speaker yet. But yes, for elopements. And then also we like to do that for anybody who wants to get married at the courthouse. That's an option. We can marry you guys somewhere else. So yeah.
Beautiful. Well, we'll post all your info on the description down below. So if anybody wants to connect with Auburn Blue Photography, Miss Sam and George here, they're more than welcome to help you guys out.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mike.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.